Today's video is on how to song your joints in Tai Chi and in everyday life. The word song in Chinese means to relax, but we are going to learn how to song our joints by opening our joints and at the same time relaxing our muscles. Now, this property has a lot of benefits for Tai Chi in that it allows our energy to flow. It gives us space for that energy to flow, and then we have those healing properties from that energy. But it also helps us in our daily lives. When we song our joints and open up our joints, we're actually preserving our joints for a longer duration in our life. And you can use it to reduce arthritic pain, such as in your hands or in your low back, for example. I'm Susan Thompson, occupational therapist, and I'm here to bring about healing and happiness in your life. So what I want you to do is imagine, you remember songing the hands and how we opened up the joints and that lengthened the ligaments, right? So our hand actually ended up being longer when we just simply imagined creating space in our joints. So for just an anatomical lesson here, this bone is connected to this bone and it's held by ligaments. So a ligament connects bone to bone. Now if you imagine your bicep muscle right here, the bicep muscle has a tendon, and that tendon attaches the muscle to the bone. So they have two different kind of roles. The tendons attach the muscles and the ligaments attach to the bones. So if we're actually creating some space here, let's say at our elbow joint, so I'm going to dislocate poor Tai Chi Tom's elbow joint, sorry dude. Oh boy, that was very well connected. If we just imagine that we're gathering more and more and more and more space here, then what is that doing to the ligament? Lengthening it, exactly. And when we lengthen something, what does it do to it? Yes, it creates a structure and it creates an internal architecture. I like the word architecture, okay? So we're not using our muscles because guess what? If we use our muscles, oh, this is good. I don't know how, I didn't even plan for this. Okay, if we use our muscles to try to do something, what happens? Everybody go ahead and engage your bicep muscle. What is happening to that muscle? Feel it. It's shortening. And yes, it's pulling on the tendon a little bit, but the tendon is just a lever. It's just pulling the lever. That's all that's doing. So if we shorten here and it pulls on that tendon, then the whole thing is shortening. So what we want to do is that we want to imagine every fiber, every connective tissue lengthening in our body. So then we do that by creating the space in our joints. So if I have more space here, then the ligaments lengthen, and can you also see that the tendons would lengthen too? Because the muscle belly is here and the tendon is attached to here. So if this is further away, then the whole thing, the muscle and the tendon and the ligaments are lengthened, creating a structure that is not dependent on our individual muscle power. So we're just going to imagine that we're creating space in between each joint, and then by doing that, we're doing this. And then this is structure, is it not? And it's also got resilience and bounciness, so it kind of becomes like a trampoline. So eventually your whole body kind of becomes like a trampoline, because not only then are we applying this to the tendons and the ligaments and the joint space, but now that whole mesh of fascia that is interacting with all of this and connected, it's also becoming more lengthened. I prefer to think lengthened rather than stretched. Okay? So then your whole fascia becomes that trampoline. And so when you receive an incoming force, let's say, can you see this? Yeah, you see an incoming force comes in, you absorb it, boom, and you just bounce it right back off. And that's the power of Tai Chi. You connect it down to your feet and you just bounce it right back off. Also, I don't know if you can hear, you see there's a resonance, right? There's a note. The more I stretch it, what happens to that resonance? Hope my rubber band doesn't break. Yeah, it goes up, right? So we reach higher and higher frequencies. And the higher frequencies is that higher energy level that's circulating through the body that has that healing impact. So if somebody just says relax, if I was your teacher, that Tai Chi teacher, and just said relax, well then you have this flaccid kind of, and there's no note. It's just thunk, 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 and you've got no power. Now, your muscles might be relaxed, but you're not laying that on top of creating that internal architecture so that you can have resilience and power and the higher frequency resonance going on in your body. Let's work the shoulder joints. Imagine that they're opening that way. You're becoming more broad. And now let's float our arms up and then rest them down and connect the fingers and feel like they're kind of like our prayer hands, except we're here. So lengthen the fingers towards each other a little bit in your mind with like 10% physical effort. And imagine that you could literally feel your ligaments and you can feel them getting longer and a little more taut. That really works for me. And the wrists, same thing. Imagine they're opening and you can feel the ligaments becoming a little taut. And your elbows are sort of pushing towards me a little bit, and those joints are opening and becoming taut. Good. And then your shoulders a little more. Now what I want you to do is exaggerate it. So really stretch everything. Don't hurt yourself, but really stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. Just like overdo it, okay? And then relax it a little bit. Ah. That song. Do you feel that? It's sort of almost a floaty feeling. Yeah. Ah, very nice.